Hello, good morning. Well, it's morning for me. If you can't tell, this is very unscripted. I don't like scripts. But hi, hello, I'm Soda Poppy. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, maybe stick around, see if you like it here. If you're not, welcome back. I appreciate you. I love you. And I hope you keep returning. So today I have something a little different. I well, this is okay. So today I have three people who submitted their art to me to be critiqued, and that's what we're doing today. I'm going to be critiquing art, and also disclaimer: I'm not a professional by any means. Um, I'm mostly just doing this for fun, and maybe I can actually help out in some way because throughout the years, my dad, who was a professional at some point, he's been giving me advice and such just to get better, and I have gotten much better, especially recently, and I want to help out. I want to share my knowledge, and um, yeah. So if you like that, maybe subscribe and follow my Instagram, where I'm the most active. I don't use Twitter anymore. I mean, with how it is recently, I'm glad I don't. I stopped using it like a year or two ago. So, yeah, follow my Instagram, Soda Poppy Live. Follow my Twitch, Soda Poppy Live. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. MST, and it's a fun time. You should join. But anyway, get into the art. So this is Kai, um, on Instagram at Little Tomatoes. I will be showing a little screenshot where you can find him. Um, so he wants to improve on anatomy and expressions. He says he has same face syndrome. Um, Kai is actually a really good friend of mine, and I kind of agree. But his art is beautiful regardless. Um, so I would say, Kai, I would say your anatomy is great. Um, I just think maybe like the way you pose characters is a little stiff. Um, so like, let's see here. So the way, oh, that's the wrong layer. So the way he is like this. So here's his torso. Um, I would say if you can't find a pose, like a very specific pose that you're looking for, then my advice is to take pictures of yourself doing the pose because that helps a lot. I don't do that as often as I probably should, but it does help. Another thing that helps me is drawing the hands first. So what you have here, like, okay, like you draw the hand holding the microphone. I'm pretty sure that's a microphone. I don't know. Have it there, and then have a point where you want the elbow to be. So like if it was here or here or here, you just have a point where you want it to be, and then you connect it up, and then draw the rest of the arm. Like if you're struggling with how the arm is kind of shaped, or like any body part really, um, doing like this to get like the mass, you know? I mean, that's not the best example. It's probably not that good, but like also like um being very loose with your brushstrokes helps a lot. it makes the characters less stiff. So, okay, so if I were to draw Kechi, start with the hands. Also, I don't know if you want more help with hands, but something that helps me is like drawing blocks and then like separating them. Doing the blocks with the hands like that helps a lot. And like cutting hands into sections definitely helps a lot too. There's a lot of moving parts on hands, which is why it's so difficult to do. But when you like just kind of put them into shapes, it makes it much easier. And then like here's the joints and just lots of shapes. Just use lots of shapes. Shapes are your friend. You're drawing the body parts. It helps to really make it round because the body is round. It's soft. Like this. Like I'm so sorry. I'm not good with my words. But I hope I get my point across, and like don't be afraid to be really messy and like clean it up later or do line art on top. Don't be afraid to do like multiple sketches and do the line art over that, because I know it is easier to do line art when the sketches are a little more clear. Another thing I could recommend is doing like colored sketches and doing that and like kind of like roughly planning out where you want things to go, where you want to put things, and then slowly adding more colors to add like finer details and other like parts, and then go over it with the line art like that. Also, for faces, I would recommend just doing a lot of studies. I would recommend doing lots of, well, yeah, studies. So, what you tend to do is proportion out faces the same for every character. And what I think would help you a lot is just looking at photos of people on like Pinterest and studying their facial features. And I know it's hard to sort of stop drawing the same features that you do, but and also like incorporating them into your style to match your style and not have it look weird. And it's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it in the end. Alright, so get like photos like these with people with varying features, and don't be afraid to trace. Tracing is your friend. It's a tool you can use to improve your art, and it's not bad. We have the outline of the head. Follow the lines of like the nose bridge, the eyebrows, the eyes, mouth, and like eventually it will be easier to put those features into your art that matches your style. So we're gonna do this again, and like eventually it does get easier. Drawing different features and not having the same face. And I really want to emphasize tracing is your friend. It's I know it kind of has like a stigma when you trace, but it's very useful, especially because when you're drawing, your hand gets used to the movements that you make. So the more you make them, the easier it gets. But like just doing studies like this helps a lot. And also, how I normally break down faces, I kind of just I like to take the most obvious spaces. Also, one thing that helps a lot with like angled faces, um, like poses, is doing a little square, like square, a rectangle, and showing where like the okay, how do I say this without saying face too many times? Knowing where everything goes helps so much, and like just taking things to the basics and then building up again from there just is really helpful. I really hope that makes sense. I hope that could help Kai. I really I really want to help you improve, and I'm so happy that you wanted me to help. But anyway, on to the next person. This is Leo at that ghost artist on Instagram. I'm gonna put a little screenshot of their account. So he asked to improve on anatomy and adding more action to the pose. Now, this not to brag or anything, but I would say I'm pretty versed in adding action to pose. I mean, pose in it. No, yeah, I said it right the first time. Here we have their art. It is so pretty, by the way. I love the background. Also, my chair is really squeaky. I'm so sorry if the microphone picks up on that. I first noticed the hand right here. So hands are really hard. I know that. I struggled with hands for so long. But what helps a lot is referencing your own hand. Taking pictures helps the most, but if you can just put your hand in front of you, in the pose that you want to, it helps a lot. And again, for the hands, they're really complicated, but like putting them into shapes is a lifesaver. So, one thing I used to do is putting cutting them into like blocks, if that makes sense. And like doing it like this and rounding out the joints at the end. And like that, you can go over it again and put it together as a hand, which makes it so much easier. And it looks bad because I'm doing this fast, but you take your time on it, it'll look good. And it's much easier when you use references. Like, please, for the love of God, use references. Go to Pinterest, save a bunch of things, put it all together. That's what I do. I'm a little hypocritical though because I don't use my references all the time, but when I do remember to, it helps a lot. And as for adding action to pose, again, use references, but also something like this where they're fighting. You have your line of action, which is where all the movement is coming from, and it's not gonna be a straight line. So here's like a punch. I'm assuming it's not gonna be a straight line. So what you want to do is have the arm or the leg or whatever following that line, and then the rest of the body kind of follows with it, if that makes sense. Right here, I would move the torso back to follow that line. And I'm not sure where everything is. There's a lot of clothing. But you kind of get the idea. And as for, I'm assuming he's falling. So you'd want to have more of a curve. Don't be afraid to like stretch limbs kind of far. or make them bend in a way that they kind of couldn't in real life, because that's just art. It mimics. It should mimic a person well enough to, be a person, but it doesn't have to follow reality. The way at least I draw limbs, they're kind of they look flexible in a way. Like, I do them very like that. Like say that's an arm right there. Like, don't be afraid to make them a little loose. A little, how do I say? A little noodly, if that makes sense. And also, breaking down body parts helps a lot. So, for me, I tend to use these very round sort of shapes. And I don't really do this anymore because I've gotten very used to how I draw bodies. But again, shapes are your friend. Shapes will be your best friend. So, like, right here's the knees, calves, feet. I can't fit them in. Also, doing anatomy studies helps a lot. Just studies in general are very useful. They're very, well, I think they're fun, but it will help a lot. Like, just scrolling through Pinterest and finding cool poses and like people to draw, and just kind of, you can always trace over them, trace the shapes, I would say not trace it one for one. I would say more get the idea of how, I would say get the idea of how the body is shaped in the most simple way you can. Alright, so for example, this person right here, take this pose and their body, and here's the basic shape of it, where it bends and contorts, and the curves of the limbs, the torso, the arms. Take note of where the knees are and where the joints connect. It helps a lot. And breaking things down further, like this, if that helps, that's great. If it doesn't, then I'm not sure what else to say. Take into account how the body is like stuck together in a way, or like put together, but something like this. And then I would say okay, so here in the most simple terms, here's the spine, and then the pelvis, and then going to the legs. And this doesn't help everyone. It didn't help me, but if it does help you, then that's awesome. I would say tracing over with these simple shapes and then drawing on the side like this and trying to replicate it the best you can helps a lot. Yeah, there we go. I don't think I'm gonna do the whole thing, but you get the idea. And just doing that over and over and over and over again, you will improve. So my main tip is basically whatever you want to improve on, doing it more and quickly will help you improve much faster than trying to perfect it on one piece, just because practice really is the key to getting better at drawing, um, no matter what you're doing. So, for example, I doodle a lot. Um, I know these are pretty clean, I guess, for doodles, but the parts that I don't erase, like right here, you can see how I just quickly do the little outline of the bodies and then I go over it and fix it like that. And just doing that over and over and over again, and even if you're doing the same poses or the same few poses, the same few expressions, just constantly working on just that, even if it's not a lot to start with, it helps a lot. Like, for the last however long I've been drawing so frequently. I've been drawing more recently, but like over the years, like at school or just at home, I would constantly just be drawing. And when you're learning and you're still unsure how things work, or you're unhappy with how it's turning out, um, you're going to make bad art. And that's okay, because to make good art, you have to make bad art first. And even just with this quick sketch, clearly I have an understanding of how bodies work. And that's just because I've been doing it for so long. Like, that's literally the only reason. I've been doing it for so long. I've been practicing almost daily for years. And I think I have a few drawings saved that I did years ago. I'll put them up on the screen. And clearly, I wasn't very good to begin with. Nobody is. You have to understand what you want to improve, and you have to try different techniques and different ways of improving, find what works for you, and then keep going at it, and then practice. Because I hate when people just say to practice, because that leaves you with nowhere to start. And hopefully I've given you somewhere to start. So I hope that helps. On to the next person. Alright, and here's Koi. You can find them at koib_ on Instagram, and I'm going to put another screenshot. Here's more anatomy they want to improve on. So I think by now I've talked enough about anatomy. I'm so sorry. Your art is very cute. I really hope that everything that I've already talked about so far you can incorporate into your art, because I didn't realize everyone wanted to improve on anatomy. I hope my rambling made sense. I would say, draw the other eye. Don't be afraid to draw the other eye. Unless that was intentional with the hair, but considering where the hair ends, you would see the other eye, unless it's just a choice not to draw it. I know a few artists who just don't because they don't want to, or it's just now part of their style, or whatever the reason. But yeah, my main points: be loose with your brush strokes. Don't be afraid to be really messy. You can always fix it later. One thing, I always start with the head. I'm pretty sure that's what most of us as artists do. But I start with the head, and then recently I started with the torso before going to the limbs, but whichever one feels more comfortable for you to do and makes it easier to put it all together. But I would say just getting the basic idea out first before doing anything anything more. Like, here, basic idea. You want the this is the pose you want to do. Um, and then you can go back to it again, fix it up a little, maybe fix what you didn't do before, fix up the arms and such, the hands, whatever, stuff like that. Like again, don't be afraid to do multiple sketch layers if that's something that you need. And I think that's it. That's really all the anatomy tips that I can give. That's basically everything that I do or used to do. I hope this helps. So here we are at the end of the video. I didn't really check to see all the responses. I kind of skimmed over them. So I hope that my anatomy rambling made sense. I really hope that doing studies made sense. You can really do studies with anything. You can do studies with backgrounds. You can do studies with lighting, shading. Photo studies are a big thing that a lot of people do. It's something that I started doing recently, which has been really fun, and it's gotten me to paint faster, just because of how many times I've done them. And I think that's it. I think that's all I really have to share. That's all of my knowledge from my little noggin out for the world to see. I don't really have an outro. I don't really have an intro either. This is much easier to do live. So if you wanna see that, if you wanna talk to me in chat, follow my Twitch. I also have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/sodapoppyfanclub. Or just click the link in the description. Every artist will be linked in the description as well. Go check them out. Their art is cool, very cute as well, and I really hope that my advice helps you guys improve, even if just a little bit. And I think that's it. So go follow my Instagram, go to my Patreon if you want. It's only $5 a month. Anything helps, liking the video, commenting, sharing, even just watching the whole way through, just getting to this point. I appreciate it, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!